$2,082 a month. That is the average Social Security retirement check in America right now, according to the Social Security Administration, and everyone from your financial advisor to the evening news says you cannot live on it. In most of Florida, they are right. The typical home in this state now costs about $378,000, and that number has quietly priced out an entire generation of retirees. But they are wrong in the 10 towns I'm about to show you. Real Florida towns with rivers, lakes, front porches, and hospitals, where a livable 3-bedroom house can cost less than what your neighbor paid for his pickup truck, and where that same government check does not just survive. It covers the house, the groceries, and the fishing license. One of these towns throws one of the oldest rodeos in the South. Another puts you 35 minutes from the whitest sand on the Gulf. And number 1 is a river bluff town where a real 3-bedroom home is listed under $75,000 as I record this. Today, 10 Florida towns with dirt cheap homes where you can retire on Social Security alone. By the end of this video, at least one of you is going to be on Zillow. Let's take a look. Number 10, Starke, the crossroads town the interstate forgot, and that is exactly why it is still affordable. Homes here sell for roughly half the Florida average, and I will give you the exact number in a minute. Starke is the county seat of Bradford County, on Highway 301, about 30 minutes north of Gainesville and under an hour from Jacksonville. This is old strawberry country, and the town still runs at strawberry pace. A brick downtown, a hardware store that has outlived every trend, and a diner where the coffee lands on the table before you've finished sitting down. A few minutes east is Kingsley Lake, so perfectly round that pilots call it the Silver Dollar. Real 3-bedroom homes on quiet in-town streets are listing in the 150s and 160s right now. Buy one for cash with what you cleared selling almost anywhere else, and your housing bill collapses to taxes and insurance, somewhere around $300 a month. That is a paid-for house and about 85% of the average check left over. Now, the honest part. Starke is a highway town, and the biggest employer around is the state prison out in Rayford. I know some of you just winced, but steady state jobs are why this town never dies, and Gainesville's university hospitals are half an hour down the road. Zillow's typical value here, about $213,500, the most expensive town on this entire list. It only gets cheaper from here, and the next one is prettier by a mile. Number 9, White Springs, the town where Florida used to vacation before anyone had heard of Orlando. This is a Suwannee River town in Hamilton County, up near the Georgia line. 100 years ago, people came by train from all over the country to soak in the sulfur spring beside the river. The grand hotels are gone, but the town they left behind is a postcard. Victorian houses under live oaks, and the Suwannee rolling past the Stephen Foster Folk Culture Center State Park, where the Florida Folk Festival has been held every year since 1953. Imagine a Saturday where the big decision is the porch or the riverbank, and Memorial Day weekend means 3 days of live fiddle music within walking distance. Older in-town houses here regularly list in the 120s and 140s. Pay cash at $130, and your fixed costs run around $250 a month. Over a full year, that is about what a single month costs in a Florida beach condo. Here is what would give me pause. Fewer than 800 people live here, and there is no real supermarket in town. Groceries and the hospital are about 20 minutes away in Lake City. If you need shops at walking distance, cross it off. If your idea of wealth is a river and a porch, this may be the prettiest cheap town in Florida. Zillow's typical value, just under $200,000. Number 8 is even quieter. On purpose. Number 8, Bristol, the county seat of the least populated county in Florida, and that scarcity is the whole story. All of Liberty County holds fewer than 9,000 people. Bristol sits above the Apalachicola River in deep pine country, 10 minutes from Torreya State Park, where bluffs climb 150 feet over the water. Locals will point you to the Garden of Eden Trail. An old preacher once argued in complete seriousness that this ravine country was the actual Garden of Eden. And if you walk it on a cool November morning, you will at least see his point. Smaller in-town homes list well below the area's typical value. And here is the fact that changes everything about remote little Bristol. The hospital is 10 minutes away, just across the river bridge in Blountstown. End of the road quiet, without end of the road risk. Own a modest place outright, and your fixed housing costs sit near $250 a month. On the average check, the house is handled by the third day of the month, and the other 27 days are yours. The trade-off is real, though. No restaurant row, no big box anything, and Tallahassee is 50 minutes away. My honest take, Bristol is for the retiree who wants to be left alone in the prettiest woods in Florida, and absolutely nobody else. Zillow's typical value, about $189,000. Number 7 brings back the courthouse square. Number 7, Madison, the town that looks like the Florida your grandparents described. Madison is a courthouse square town near the Georgia line, wrapped in canopy roads and steepled churches halfway between Tallahassee and Live Oak. The square is the real thing. A working courthouse, brick storefronts, and 4 Freedoms Park at the center, honoring hometown war hero Colin Kelly. 15 minutes east, Madison Blue Spring, one of the clearest swimming holes in the state, pours 72-degree water into the Wewahitchka River every day of the year. Historic district houses needing little more than paint show up in the 120s and 130s, and this town kept something most places this size lost decades ago. A hospital, Madison County Memorial, right in town. Run the numbers on a $130,000 house owned free and clear. Taxes and insurance land near $275 a month, about 13% of the average check. For a couple drawing 2 checks, housing drops to 6% of income. 6. Now the plain truth. Madison County is farm country with a thin job market and real rural poverty. This is not a boutique small town, and it is not trying to become one. For a retiree bringing income with them, that is exactly why the price is honest. Zillow's typical value, about $179,100. Number 6 sits so far northwest, your neighbors will root for Alabama. Number 6, Graceville, Florida's front porch on the Alabama line. Graceville sits in the far corner of Jackson County, surrounded by peanut and cotton fields, and it is a college town. The Baptist College of Florida keeps the little downtown breathing and the church suppers frequent. Picture an evening walk past brick ranch houses on half-acre lots, the smell of cut hay drifting in from the field at the end of the street. Those tidy brick ranches come up for sale in the 120s regularly. And here is the part that surprises people. The big city for Graceville is not even in Florida. Dothan, Alabama, a city of about 70,000 with a major regional hospital, is roughly 25 minutes up the road. So you keep Florida's deal, no state income tax touching your Social Security or your pension, with Alabama-sized shopping and healthcare next door. Buy at $125,000 cash and your fixed costs run about $250 a month, leaving over $1,800 of the average check for actual living. One caution: the town is quiet to a fault, and if you do not plug into a church or the college community, it can feel lonely out here. I will say it straight. Graceville is the best pure value in the first half of this list. Zillow's typical value, about $166,000, and number 5 comes with a beach. Before we get there, notice the pattern. Not one of these towns lost its charm. They lost their industry. The sawmills, the rail stops, and the farm jobs moved on, and the prices never learned big city habits. That is not decline. For a retiree on a fixed check, that is the discount. If that is the way you think about money, you and I think the same way. So subscribe, because the second half of this list is where the prices stop making sense. Number 5, Wewahitchka, the cheapest way I know to live near a Florida beach. Locals just call it Wewa, and yes, it costs a step more than the last town. Watch what that step buys. Wewahitchka sits inland in Gulf County in the Panhandle, about 35 minutes from the white sand at Mexico Beach and Port St. Joe. On the coast itself, this town's typical home price would barely cover a boat slip. But Wewahitchka is not just a beach discount. The town sits on the dead lakes, thousands of acres of drowned cypress where the Chipola River backs up, holding some of the best bream and bass fishing in the state. And this is the Tupelo honey capital of the world. The white Tupelo blooms along these rivers for a few short weeks each spring, and the honey it makes never crystallizes. Hollywood even came for it. Uli's Gold was filmed right here in Wewahitchka. Own a $150,000 home free and clear, and your fixed costs run around $300 a month. Crucially, that is inland insurance, not coastal insurance, which in this corner of Florida is the difference between a bill and a second mortgage. Full honesty. Hurricane Michael tore through this county in 2018, and everyone here remembers it. The town rebuilt, but you will want strong wind coverage and a newer roof, and I would not buy here without both. For the retiree who wants the beach on Saturday without paying beach prices the other 6 days, Wewahitchka is the smartest coastal move in Florida. Zillow's typical value, about $177,100. Number 4, trades the Gulf for a lake the size of a county. Number 4, Sneads. The town sitting on 3 states' worth of water. Sneads is in eastern Jackson County, right where Florida, Georgia, and Lake Seminole meet. 37,000 acres of stumps, grass beds, and largemouth bass that draw tournament anglers from across the country, with Three Rivers State Park at the edge of town and campsites looking straight out over the water. Small in-town houses here list under $100,000 more often than you would believe. A local put it simply, out here, your boat can cost more than your house, and nobody blinks. Buy a $95,000 house with a yard, own it outright, and taxes plus insurance land near $225 a month. Put differently, the average check pays your housing for the entire year by the middle of February. The rest of the year is fishing money. What nobody tells you, the steady paychecks here come mostly from the state, corrections, and public jobs, which keeps the town stable but modest. And the hospital and the big box stores are 20 minutes west in Marianna. If that drive is a deal breaker, stay with me, because the next town solved it. For the anglers, though, Sneads is the best fishing retirement on this list, and I do not think it is close. Zillow's typical value, about $152,400. Number 3 throws a rodeo. Number 3, Bonifay. Farm country, church country, wave at strangers country, and every October, rodeo country. Bonifay is the seat of Holmes County, up near the Alabama line, and it has hosted the Northwest Florida Championship Rodeo since 1944, one of the oldest rodeos in the Southeast. The whole town shows up in boots. And unlike almost every town this cheap in America, Bonifay kept its hospital. Doctor's Memorial sits right in town. 15 minutes west, Ponce de Leon Springs pushes out crystal clear water at 68 degrees every single day of the year. Now, the proof. As of this recording, a 3-bedroom house on Hatcher Drive here is listed at $82,000. A real house, in town, minutes from that hospital. Own it outright, and your total fixed costs, taxes, and insurance together run well under $250 a month. Against the average check, you are keeping over $1,800 every month in Florida. The honest part, Holmes is one of the lowest income counties in the state. The job market is thin and the restaurant options are few. But you are not moving here for a job, and that modest economy is exactly what has protected these prices for 40 years. Zillow's typical value, $142,300, roughly $236,000 below the statewide average. That difference alone is a whole second house. If you have stayed to number 3, you are the kind of person who does the math before a big move. Subscribe, because the last 2 towns are the reason I made this video. Number 2, Blountstown. The river town, where an $85,000 three-bedroom is not even the best deal on the street. As of this recording, a standing, livable 1,300 square foot three-bedroom, two-bath home here is listed at $85,000. Nearby, a brick ranch, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, almost 1,500 square feet, sits at $115,000. Blountstown is the seat of Calhoun County on a rise above the Apalachicola River, about 50 minutes west of Tallahassee. Old steamboat and timber country. The town keeps its history alive at the Panhandle Pioneer Settlement, a living history village of rescued pioneer buildings, and it keeps its healthcare in town. Calhoun Liberty Hospital is right there, which at these prices is nearly unheard of. Take that $85,000 house, buy it outright for less than the down payment on an average Florida home, and your fixed costs run maybe $200 to $250 a month. That is close to 90% of the average check left over, month after month, in a town where the river does the entertaining for free. Now I need to be straight about the history. Hurricane Michael came through in 2018 and hit this county hard. The recovery took years, some scars remain, and that memory is baked into these prices. But the town rebuilt, the river did not move, and the hospital stayed. For a cash buyer on a fixed income, Blountstown is the single best dollar-for-dollar deal in the Panhandle. Zillow's typical value, about $148,300. So what could possibly beat it? A town that just listed a 3-bedroom for even less, with a better view. Number 1. Chattahoochee. The cheapest real town in Florida, with the best front porch view on this list, and here is the proof up front. As of this recording, a 3-bedroom home here, 1,328 square feet, is listed at $74,900. Another 3-bedroom is listed at $95,000. And a 2-bedroom cottage with original hardwood floors, a big screened front porch, and a fully fenced yard is on the market too. These are not auction shells. They are homes. Chattahoochee sits in Gadsden County, on high bluffs at the exact spot where Florida begins. The Flint and the Chattahoochee rivers meet here at the Jim Woodruff Dam, forming Lake Seminole on one side and giving birth to the Apalachicola River on the other. Stand in River Landing Park in the evening and you can literally watch a river being born. And this is no dirt road outpost. There are sidewalks, a grocery store, churches, a public boat ramp, and Interstate 10 a few minutes south. Tallahassee, with its airport and major hospitals, is about 45 minutes east. Picture it. Coffee on the porch of that $74,900 house, the bluff dropping away toward the river. And your entire housing cost, taxes and insurance together, sitting around $200 a month. That is 90% of the average check still in your pocket, in a state that taxes none of it. Now, the conversation everyone tiptoes around. Chattahoochee is a company town, and the company is the state of Florida. Florida State Hospital, the state psychiatric facility, has anchored this town since the 1800s, built on the grounds of an old federal arsenal, and it is the biggest employer for miles. Some people hear that and hesitate. Here's my read, and you can argue with me in the comments. A state payroll is the most stable economy a small town can have. It is the reason Chattahoochee still has services that other cheap towns lost long ago, and it has nothing to do with you drinking coffee above the river. Zillow's typical value, about $104,000, a quarter of the Florida average, quiet, solvent, and genuinely beautiful. That is the whole list in one town, and that is why it is number 1. So why are homes in these 10 towns this cheap in the most in-demand state in America? 3 forces. First, the industry left. The sawmills, the rail lines, and the farm economies that built these towns moved on decades ago, and prices never learned big city habits. Second, the costs stayed low. Small county property taxes, inland insurance instead of coastal insurance, and no state income tax touching your check. And third, the arbitrage. A retiree on Social Security does not need the job market that left because you are bringing your paycheck with it. Add it all up, and you get towns the market forgot, which is exactly why they are the best deal left in Florida for the right person. Whether you are planning your own retirement, helping your parents plan theirs, or just tired of being told Florida is only for the rich, I hope this list proves otherwise. Those are 10 Florida towns where a dirt cheap home and the average Social Security check is a complete plan. Now tell me in the comments, which one would you actually move to? And am I wrong about number 1? Subscribe because I cover affordable Florida every single week. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.